A week passed, then another. Against every rule he had made for himself, Jungkook let her stay. He told himself it was temporary. She told herself she was only staying until she had enough to disappear. Her brother, he contacted and came back to her the next day. He didn't want to be a burden to his sister. That's why he escaped. But after getting to know how tense she was after talking to her on the phone call, he came to meet her, and she never let him leave again. She wanted to collect enough money for him this time so that he wouldn't have to think of anything except getting better. She started working for Jungkook, and she was kinda liking it because the jobs he made her do gave her a lot of money in return. Somewhere between bloodshed and bulletproof vests, they started learning each other. But then one day, it went wrong. The entire plan turned upside down because of her. No, not her, because of them. And now they were locked up in an abandoned warehouse. Juan sat in a crate, shoulder torn open from a stray bullet. Jungkook paced across from her, fists still bloody, soaked through from the rain. Jungkook, you disobeyed me, he shouted. She glared at him through the pain. I saved your life. You're welcome. Jungkook, I didn't ask you to. Fine. No, you just would have bled out if I didn't save you. Jungkook slammed his palm against the metal table. The echo bounced off the cold walls. Jungkook, next time you don't follow orders, I'll leave you behind, he said through gritted teeth. Why? You didn't leave me behind. You came back, she said quietly, pressing gaze to her shoulder. Jungkook, that was a mistake. Fine. Then go. Leave now, she said, standing despite the pain. He stared at her and said, don't test me, Wine. Wine. I'm not scared of you, Jungkook. You should be. Her voice dipped as she asked, why? Because you kill people? Or because you care when you're not supposed to? Then it was silence. Jungkook took a step forward while she didn't move. Jungkook, you could have died tonight, he said in a low voice. Fine. I've almost died a lot of times before. It doesn't scare me anymore. He reached for the gauze in her hand, took it gently, and pressed it to her wound herself. His touch, for all its violence before, was careful now. She stared up at him and asked quietly, why did you come back? He didn't answer at first. When he finally did, his voice was hoarse. Because I'm stupid, or reckless, or maybe I just hate the idea of you bleeding out in a warehouse without anyone knowing your name. Fine. You know my name. It's enough, I guess. He didn't move, didn't look away. Jungkook, this doesn't mean anything. Fine. No. He leaned in and said, mention it tomorrow and I will deny it. Fine. Then kiss me now. He looked in her eyes in shock. Fine. That way I will remember that at least you know my name. And he kissed her. It wasn't soft, it wasn't clean. It was messy and angry and too full of everything they hadn't said. He kissed her like she was the one thing he had never meant to want. She kissed him back like he was the one thing she had never believed she could have. When they pulled away, his forehead rested against hers, both of them breathless, wet from the rain, bleeding and broken and alive. Jungkook, you ruined everything, he whispered. She smiled faintly. You started it. For a moment, the warehouse was quiet again. The storm outside had dulled to a steady drizzle, rain ticking against the metal roof, and their heartbeat too fast, too loud. Then he noticed she was trembling. Maybe from blood loss, maybe because she had kissed the one man everyone told her never to trust. Jungkook, let me see your shoulder. She nodded, wincing as he peeled back the damp gold. The bullet hadn't gone deep, but the bleeding hadn't stopped either. His jaw clenched as he looked at it, not because of the wound, but because of the way her skin looked beneath his hands. Soft, bruised, breakable. Jungkook, you're not patching it right, he muttered, grabbing a medkit from the corner table. Luckily, it was there. Fine. Not a lot of time to watch YouTube tutorials in your line of work. He glanced back at her with a dry laugh, then returned, kneeling in front of her crate. His hands were gentler than she expected. Her voice broke through the silence. You were really going to leave me? He didn't look up. I said a lot of things. Why? You didn't answer. His fingers paused against her skin as he said, no. Something cracked in her chest. Jungkook, you can't keep doing this. He looked in her eyes and said, you can't keep throwing yourself in the line for me. Fine. And you can't keep pretending as if you don't care. He froze. You think I'm stupid? You think I don't see the way you look at me? You only threaten to leave me behind, Jungkook. You never actually do. He stirred abruptly, pacing away from her, hands dragging through his wet hair. He looked like a man on the verge of imploding. Jungkook, don't. It's nothing like that. Don't jump to illusions. Fine. Why? Because it's easier if I hate you? Jungkook, because it's safer, damn it. He shouted. Fine. I don't want safe. I want you. She shouted back. The air went still again. No thunder, no bullets, no running. Just them. And it was somehow more dangerous than anything they had faced so far. Fine. I want you, Jungkook. Her voice cracked. He stared at her for a few seconds, and then he moved towards her. And suddenly she was in his arms again. But this time it wasn't wild. It wasn't desperate. It was quiet. They waited for someone to open this warehouse and check up on them, so that they could escape. And while they waited, he wrapped her in his coat, tucking her in. His lips brushed her forehead, barely a whisper of a kiss. Jungkook, just this once. Let me hold you just this once. She didn't answer. She just leaned into him and let him. Even if the world collapsed tomorrow, even if everything burned, she just wanted this. Tonight, him.